computer. So we are recording. All right. So welcome everyone to the October Cake and Conversation brought to you by the Paul Pratt Memorial Library. I'm so excited to have a return guest. It's Lisa Dooley, professional organizer. Lisa was at the library about a year ago. I think it was
November, yeah.
Her for an author talk. She is the author of the book More Space, More Time, More Joy. It's right behind her, Organizing Your Best Life. And she did a fantastic presentation at the library in front of a live audience. People asked questions. It was wonderful. So while this is not the best format for her, I would love to have her again in person, and so people could interact and ask questions. This is still going to be great. You're a very polished speaker. You know what you're talking about, and you're fun to listen to. So she's going to give us tips and tricks to get organized. And so let's get started with the chit chat. I'm sorry there's no cake. When we reopen to the public and do this in real life, there's going to be so much cake. We're all going to be sick for a week. I promise you.
Cake is good. Cake is good.
So welcome. So what have you been up to lately with your organization? I'm sure people, are at home. You have more time to look around and say, you know what, I need to get rid of stuff. I need to get more organized. The kids are studying in the house now more than ever. So what have you been up to?
So thanks for having me back. I'm super excited to be here. So I think from an organizational standpoint, or just from a real life standpoint, Kristen, obviously COVID has just affected every area of our lives. And so for a lot of us who hadn't really had an opportunity to spend a lot of time at home because they're working outside of the home and all those other things, it's really become even bigger push, right? We're seeing Netflix series on it. We're seeing all of these different conversations around it. And the home itself is really a high emotion, high interest place. So even more so now, we're all focused on being inside. Work from home and learn from home. All of those things are happening. So during COVID, I was really working remotely with my clients on smaller projects, really helping them try to figure out in the short term, oh gosh, how do I set up a home office? Or how do I create learning space for my kids that are now learning from home? So all of those, I'm excited to say that I am back, working one-on-one with my clients, which is awesome. I've got my PE, they've got the PE, and we're just, creating good space, because what I do and what we do together is really one-on-one. It's very intense. It's very one-on-one. So it is really helpful to be together. So that's really what I've been doing, and doing a lot of these, really doing a lot of Zoom calls and just connecting with people, because you're right, during the pandemic, everyone, a lot of people did the purge phase, right? We can talk about that a little bit. The purging is, I'm just going to get rid of everything, or I'm going to decide what I'm going to get rid of. And that was a really big thing, really, during the pandemic. It was, well, what do I do with it now, right? Where do I send my donations when all the donation places were closed? And I'm happy to say, many of them have reopened. Salvation Army is back open, Savers, Goodwill, but they're not doing pickups. So one of my favorite organizations has always been Vietnam Veterans. They're an excellent organization. They do amazing work, and they would be at my house roughly every 2 weeks, but they are not picking up. So a lot of donation places, they are still not picking up, and I don't know how far out they are, to be perfectly honest with you. So
always my default. My husband likes them because they leave a receipt with you too. So
awesome.
It's good, for tax purposes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they make it easy for us, right? They make it really easy for us. So now it is a bit more, we have to be more intentional. We have to think about, when can I go somewhere? One of the places that from a donation perspective, there's two organizations that work locally here in the South Shore. One is called Free Cycle. Free Cycle, if you're not familiar with, there's a Hingham, Hull, Cohasset area hub, and basically you sign up and you just donate your things. You would post that you have an old guitar that you would like to donate, and people just respond. So it's a free cycle. It's like recycle, obviously, but it's free cycle. So you can post, and you can put on there, I'm looking for ice skates for a 5-year-old. I'm looking for a bike for a 3-year-old, or I have a bike to offer. So freecycle.org is one of my favorite organizations, and I've been part of it for, oh gosh, even before I became an organizer. There's also a group in Hingham, and I believe there's one in Scituate. There's not one in Cohasset. It's called Buy Nothing. It's a buy, B-U-I, nothing. And I want to say it's .org. And it was actually started, I want to say, in Brooklyn. So it's very location intensive. And the idea is the same as Free Cycle. I have some Harry Potter books I don't need anymore. And someone would come and get them. So they're hyper local because it's someone in your neighborhood. And that's the idea, is to sort of bring a neighborhood together by sharing and receiving, which is such a wonderful thing, especially during COVID. So anyone can go on my website and go to the search bar and type in how to donate anything, and you're going to see some great resources there. All of these are listed. I'm not sure Buy Nothing's there, so I need to update that, but you'll see some other resources to donate, eyeglasses. People always want to throw them in the trash, but the Lions Club actually recycles those and repurposes them and shares them. That's one of their foundational principles, actually, which I learned from a member of the Lions Club. So go to my website and type in, how to donate anything, and a whole list of local resources.
So that's fabulous, because I know a lot of organizations aren't taking furniture right now, but you're frozen. Can you hear me all right? Okay. But so for Free Cycle, those aren't limited to smaller things. I'm assuming you could say, hey, I have an old hutch. I'd like to dining room table if anybody wants it. That's
absolutely
nice to know. I have a friend who's in the process. She's moving and downsizing. And so, the timing actually kind of can be worse, because she's got large pieces of furniture that she wants to get rid of and has had a really hard time. And they're in great condition, but because, that's still the effects of COVID, these, usual places aren't accepting large furniture anymore. So that's fabulous.
Yeah, that's a good resource. And the other one I want to mention is Facebook Marketplace. I have had some good experience with Facebook Marketplace, and you can, often it is intended for sale. That I want to be clear about that, but a lot of people post things that are free as well. So furniture, especially because it's, again, hyper local to your area, and it is something that is harder to donate right now. So yeah, so Facebook Marketplace and Free Cycle are great places for furniture. And don't forget, she may be getting rid of a hutch, but someone who's now working from home might want to use that, or someone who's got, learning from home or teaching from home really would see that as a great resource. So I think there's opportunity. I know there are some silver linings out there about COVID, and I hope building community is one of them for sure.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, exactly. But it's killing me that the boutique isn't open, just because like you said, I just want to, I don't want to post it and do all that. I just want to leave it. I know somebody would take it, but I would like to know when they're going to reopen.
Yeah,
the library does. I don't know.
I think that's really tied to Wellspring. So when people at the take it, so I think at the take it or leave it, when residents have the opportunity, of course, to take or leave, I think on a regular basis, they bring the donations to Wellspring, and I don't know what their status is. That was my understanding of that. So hopefully, I'm with you. Especially glassware and fragile stuff that is harder to donate. I loved the boutique. I was a frequent flyer at the boutique for sure.
In fact, my husband banned me from going to the dump with him because I'd always find treasures that I
treasures. A treasure. That's a perfect way to put it. Yes.
But now full circle talking to you. So, I think you're right all the time. You did mention, with your one-on-ones can be pretty intense. And I imagine, I want to go, let's visit that aspect of organizing and possessions, because I know my problem is sentimentality towards things. You know, I inherited a lot from grandparents and great aunts, and you know, they lived in a time where they didn't have home goods, where their possessions meant a lot to them, and they let me know that, you know, what they were bequeathing me meant a lot. There's no way I can get rid of these things, but I want to. Some of the things, I just don't need all this china and little knickknacks and stuff. So how do you help people with that? The emotion, dealing with the emotions behind the stuff that they want to get rid of, but they can't psychologically really part with them.
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I think really that gets to the heart of organizing, honestly, because it's not about the stuff. Organizing isn't about the stuff, it's about why we're keeping the stuff. So whenever I work with a client, it always comes down to, what's your goal? Why are you organizing? And if you say to me, well, I want it to look pretty, then I'm going to say to you, then it's not going to be successful. Because if you have to have a deeper why, it has to be, I want my house to run more smoothly, or I want to be more productive in my office, or I want my kids to have a place where they can play and learn, or I want a closet and a wardrobe that works for me. If it's just because I saw it on TV, or I saw it in Crate and Barrel, it's not going to work for you, because you're going to backslide. So I think when it comes, Kristen, to sentimental items, the question is always, why am I holding on to it? And how is it serving me? Because space is finite, right? And if you have something that you say is important to you, my grandmother's china is important to me, then you should be displaying it and you should be using it. If it is boxed up in your attic or your basement, you are not honoring that legacy. And I really think things like that are legacy items. And again, we only have so much wall space. We only have so many cabinets. If it is important to you, then use it. And if you can't use it, it is okay to pass it along. And you're right. I mean, our parents came from a different generation, our grandparents, and they gave us these things, but they gave us these things so that we would use them.
Mm-hmm.
If my grandmother could see that her china is boxed up and sitting in my attic, that's not serving anyone. So if you can, pass it along now. Maybe there is someone else. The challenge around that is that our kids, we have kids the same age. Our kids do not live the same way, okay? I have worked with clients, so many clients over the years that say, I'm saving that for my kids. I'm saving this furniture. I'm saving this china. I hate to be the one to tell you, your kids do not want your stuff. They call it brown furniture, okay? These kids live in IKEA. They believe IKEA is the only place to get furniture. And we're holding on to them. We're cluttering our lives emotionally, physically, and psychologically, because we have a belief that we need to hold on to that china for our kids. And guess what? Your kids are never going to use that china.
And I don't even use it. We have wedding china, and I don't know if people do that still, this next generation.
Right.
But my wedding, and save it for a special occasion. Well, who has special occasions anymore?
Especially now, right? Especially
now, and who knows when. Right.
And who knows when. So I think it comes down to, why are we holding on to it? And sometimes we take a thing, grandma's china, and we say, this is a representative of grandma, right? And it's not the love, and it represents the love that we have for that person. Those are all awesome things. But again, if you're not honoring that legacy by using and displaying it, you're not. So it is okay to let it go. Find someone who can use it. I mean, find Habitat for Humanity, find a homeless shelter, find people in transitional housing. They would love to have those things. And then you get to really honor the legacy of the person that gave it to you by actually seeing it used. I have seen more boxes of china and crystal. Use it, put it out, use it or don't.
Put it in the dishwasher.
Put it in. I know, right? We all have to hand wash that because it has the gold or the silver. And I think we're creating an obstacle in our own lives.
That's totally it.
So, and remember, at some point you will move. And I've seen so many clients really struggle with their inability to move forward because they're holding on to things for their kids or for their grandkids and all this. at some point you will have to make that decision. You want to be in control of that decision. You want to get rid of those things now. You want to decide how this is going to move forward, because guarantee if something happens to you and your kids are responsible for cleaning out your home, they're
Oh,
going to back a dumpster up and they're going to
yep.
throw everything in there because they don't have the feeling that you have. So if it is important to you, and this is, I can't stress this enough, then you need to decide today what should happen with it. Absolutely, hands down.
We have a book, a coworker and I, Bridget, that we love, or a phrase, Swedish death cleaning.
Oh yeah.
And it's what it is. And actually that's what she's doing now. Her kids are all out of the house and she is just being ruthless. I think ruthless. She's going to be sleeping on a mattress on the floor. That would be her ideal. But it's all for, she's preparing for her near future of really downsizing and everything. So
well, and that's the gift I think you're giving your family,
your
is
kids.
you're making those decisions and you're not forcing them to make them for you. And I think, there's, you can start decluttering, and downsizing has a lot of layers to it. The more layers you can get rid of now, like Bridget's doing, when you are actually ready to move, you've really dealt with a lot of that stuff. So it's a process. Hopefully you have a process, but you don't want to get to that point where you've broken a hip or you can't get up and down the stairs anymore and you have to move. I've done that. I've seen clients go through that, and it's really challenging. So avoid that if you can, for sure.
Yeah, and your kids, are going through the emotion of taking care of mom or whatever, and to have just all this junk piled on top isn't fair. I mean, and you don't realize it kind of when you're living in it. And I mean, I love home goods. I'll just go get something, but then you realize, oh my God, that's more stuff I'm bringing in that somebody's going to have to get rid of. Yeah, so that's tough. So how about home offices? Our home office is just basically a desk in a corner of the kitchen. And now my husband's working from home. And he's just got paper everywhere. How do you recommend, if you don't have, space for filing cabinets and, a big desk, do you have any tips for reining in paper and folders and piles of things?
Yeah, hashtag work from home has been probably the biggest revolution we've seen, learn from home and work from home in the past decade, right? So this is huge. And the reality is this trend is going to continue. A lot of companies are saying, you're not coming back till 2021. You're not may not come back at all. So be prepared for this. And I think in the beginning, Kristen, when everyone was sort of trying to figure out how to make it happen and make it work, everybody, sort of created little workarounds. I think this is an opportunity really to say, this is my workspace. So a couple of things. If you don't have space for traditional filing cabinets, and you can get a short, small 2-stacker really inexpensively, WB Mason, my friends at WB Mason, or the other home goods stores, they can do all of that for you. And if you don't even have space for that, I always recommend the plastic filing boxes with a handle. Create a system, because what happens is, especially when we're working from home, we'll cover every horizontal surface with paper.
Yes.
So sure that we know where everything is. And a simple Pendaflex and a filing system, although it might take you a little bit of time to create it, is so worthwhile in the end. Because organizing isn't boxes and bins and complicated filing systems. It's finding my stuff when I need it. So if I can find my insurance paperwork, if I can find my healthcare, if I can find my birth certificate, then I'm not wasting all of this time looking for it. It's the same with work. And so paperwork is, the paper, the tactile piece, and then there's all of the electronic stuff as well. So I always recommend to clients, I was working with a client this past weekend who was going through a significant transition. And the first thing we did was we got our arms around her physical paperwork, which was pretty extensive. And the second part of that process is to get our arms over the electronic part of that. Because what she was doing was, it came in electronically. She was so afraid of losing it or misplacing it on her computer that she was printing everything out. So now we've got the information in 2 ways. If you're a tactile person, you want to have it, print it out by all means, create a filing box. And that's what we did. We created 3 filing boxes for her. One said, current paperwork. This one was for a legal proceeding. This one is for your forever docs, and just create that filing. And it's really intuitive. It's how Mark thinks his paperwork should be set up. It's not how you think it should be set up. It's how he thinks about it. Is it Project X or is it, Bill Smith? It's about how it's intuitive to you. So when you need it, you can immediately go to that file. You don't have to sit there and think, how did I name that? What does that mean to me? And so that was part of the process that we worked with together, was really coming up with intuitive naming. Same thing on electronics. You want to spend some time creating a file system in your email and in your documents, and call it 2020 projects. You can call it healthcare. You can call it whatever you like, but then make sure all of the content that comes into you goes into those files. We get so much electronically, we get so much paper in our lives. It's really important, if you spend the time up front, like all organizing, to create a system and then you adhere to it. I've seen clients with thousands of emails in their inbox, so sure that this is the way to save it. And I said, what happens when this thing crashes?
Right.
And it's like a deer in the headlights. And every time you want to look for something, you have to do a search in your inbox. Well, if you had a file folder in your email that said Susie Soccer, and every time you got an email, you dragged it in there, then it would always be there. So it's about spending the time up front to create a system that works for you. It really, investing the time really will pay huge dividends. So you're not always looking for something.
For like hard copies of things like bills, how long do you recommend keeping them? I know like income taxes, it's 7 years, but Mark and I were just discussing this, and I said, well, everything's online. Do we really need, also these hard copies? And he, it's like, well, just in case, or how long do you recommend keeping them, if at all, because they are online?
I think that comes down to how risk adverse you are. Some people like the paper copy. Some people like to take the bill. They like to write the check number, and they like to put it in their files. That again, that comes down to how risk adverse you are. And on the other hand, all of the content does live online. So let's use auto insurance, for example, right? So every year, if you open up your file, how many years of policies do you have?
Right.
You should really only have the current year. If you want to put a receipt in there every time you write the bill, feel free to do so. But when I ask clients why they have 20 years of auto policies, they say, well, I want to compare year to year. First of all, no one does that. Let's be honest about that. And if you needed it, you just call your insurance company and they would provide it for you. Yeah. So what we're doing really when we're holding on to things is we're really, Kristen, clogging up our files. That's really what we're doing. If I want to find my policy, I want to go to that file, I want to pull out the policy, I maybe want to see that I paid that in full, or that I cleared the title or something like that.
Yeah.
That's all you need, right? And that's really, again, I see these filing systems, appendiflexes, they're ripped and they're overflowing from stuff that's 5, 7, 10, 12 years ago. That's inefficient. That's a productivity issue. So every time you need to put something in your files, you're fighting to put it in. Every time you're trying to find something, you're fighting to find it. You're just wasting your time and causing yourself so much stress. So clear out the files. This is actually a great time to do that. The fall is a great time to do that. Create a filing system that works for you. And I'll just talk about shredding really quickly, because I know, again, that's a risk adverse thing.
Yep.
Anything obviously that has your social security number, anything that has any identifying content. If it's your NSTAR bill and it has an account number, I would say recycle that. But some people have anything that has their name on it they want to shred. That's fine. Go ahead and shred it. But don't shred the envelopes it came with. Don't shred. People clog down their shredding because they're just taking everything. Open the envelope. If there's one piece of paper that has your account number and your name on it, and you want to shred it, shred it. But don't get rid of. You can safely recycle all of the other parts. Again, we create these really complicated systems, so I have to shred everything that comes in. You kind of don't. But if it's important to you, definitely shred anything with an account, obviously a social security number and an account number.
That is such a good tip, because we have a shredder that people can borrow at the library. But
Oh,
it
I didn't
gets
know
out
that.
maybe, yep, 3 or 4 times, and then we have to buy another one because it gets broken. And I think because people are just shredding literally everything.
Everything, yes.
So,
Which
you
you
know,
don't, you
one
do
gets control.
open up a bill, you probably have one page that's the bill and the rest is, I
Oh,
don't know, legal jargon. It's
right.
flyers, it's all of this stuff. But yeah, people spend a lot of time shredding things that they don't need to. And if you can take, and people don't know this, you can go to Staples, you can go to Office Max, and they will shred for you. They have secure boxes. It's something like 99 cents a pound. You put it in a secure box. They take it offsite to shred it. That's a wonderful way to go. If you're cleaning out old taxes, old estate documents,
Right.
that's a great way to go. But again, don't waste your money because you've just taken, you know, people are shredding manila folders. I'm like, you don't need to shred manila folders. You can recycle those. So be smart about it. I guess that's the bottom line. Be smart about it. Be respectful of what's important to you, but also be smart about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That was a great tip. All right. So let's say Mark has his office area all organized.
Mm-hmm.
How does he keep the rest of us from monkeying around? How do we help keep it organized too? And the same with, you know, the laundry room or whatever, or the bathroom. I'll get it all organized, and you know, we share a bathroom, all of us, and you know, things are not where they're supposed to be.
Yeah. So I think, you know, obviously, you know, when we live in a home with other people, we need to take into consideration, how everybody else is living in that space. When you're talking about something that's very specific to you, like Mark's office space or your craft area or something like that, that is really specific to you, I think that really comes down to having an honest conversation about, hey, it's really important for me to stay organized, so I'm going to ask that you not take the phone charger off of my desk because I need that for work. Or, you know what, this is my space. Please don't come take my special scissors. I really need them. They're specific to this task. And I think that's part of having a conversation about identifying the why your space is organized. My space is organized because I'm forced to work at home. We're all working under, you know, tight conditions. It's really important that I have my things when I need them. And I think, you know, because this is a new situation, you wouldn't think of going to your colleague's desk at work and taking their, you know, their computer charger. Well, we have no problem doing it in our own families, right? Or our own space mates.
Exactly.
So I think having that conversation and just saying, hey, maybe we need to get some extra phone chargers. We want to, you know, put an order in on Amazon to have that, so we're not all scrambling to do that. So I think that's starting with the why and respect for each other's space. When we're talking about, which is a little bit trickier, sort of commingled space, communal space, as we like to call it, I always say you have to organize to the middle, right? Organize to the middle. I was with a client yesterday and she had these great bins. We've all seen them in the kids' toy rooms, right? It's a wooden and it's got all the bins in it. And she said, I said, well, talk to me about this. I said, it's obviously not being used. And she said, I would like my son to organize his blocks and his Legos. You know, the blocks go over here and the Legos go over here, the foam goes over here and the wooden goes over here. And I said, he's never going to do that. And she said, he's never going to do that. I said, you do that. She said, it's important to me. I said, how much time do you spend doing that? She said, a lot of time. I said, you know what? You're wasting your time. It doesn't matter to him. Let's get some giant bins. Let's put everything into them together. And then say to him, my expectation is that when you're done playing, everything goes back into this bin. That's an expectation he can meet. So we want to create this fancy, complicated system, but no one will replicate it but us. And all we're going to be, Kristen, is stressed and angry and annoyed. So I think we create space, any communal space, to the fact that, hey, this is my expectation. My expectation is you take out a pot in the kitchen, you put it away. Here's where the pots go. You may not nest it the way I nest it. You may not put it away. And I think that's the same across the spaces. We have a reasonable expectation that there's stuff not all over the place. If you can't find something or you don't know where it goes, it's okay to ask, but it's not okay just to leave it out. And I think, you know, that goes to really, I would say, sort of my biggest caveat with clients is, the thing I want clients to know is the biggest mistake we make is we put things down and we don't put them away, right? And I think especially in communal space, it's, oh, I don't know what to do with the hammer after I've used it. You know what to do with the hammer. So you just put it down instead of putting away. So I think if we all talked about that, and it's part of a conversation, it's okay to say that. You go into a kindergarten class, everything is organized because the kids know the paint goes over here, the books go over here, the kitchen play set is over here. They know not to commingle. So when you set up your space with clear, this is where the books go, this is where the pots and pans go, this is where the spices go, there should be a reasonable expectation that people can follow that. So, and then we breathe deep on that and try to sort of move toward the middle on that.
Well, I have to laugh because my kids are both living at home now. And so whenever they empty the dishwasher, you can tell that they were the ones that emptied the dishwasher. It's like
random things just on the counters. Visitors, apparently. Visitors, yes. Yeah.
Yes, that's pretty funny. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I just want to see, I have a little list of questions. What do you wish people understood about organizing? Was a part of this that, you know, don't make it complicated for yourself?
That's, and I think that's important because again, when I meet people, they always say to me, can you organize me? And I always say, I can help you get organized, but organizing really is an intuitive process. And you really have to connect with, why am I getting organized? Again, if you hand me a Crate and Barrel, you know, catalog or the Container Store and say, I want my house to look like this, it's never going to look like that. So I think we set a reasonable expectation and then understand what really is driving that. You know, when your kids are little and life is super busy, your house is never, ever going to look like what it does on TV. It's never going to look like those catalogs, never. And I think we create this unrealistic expectation for ourselves to say we're not meeting that standard. And when we don't meet the standard, it becomes this cycle and we're in the funnel of I'm not good enough, I'm not doing well enough. And that really is what I think really causes a lot of clients to come to me and say, I just don't know how to move this forward. My grandmother had a great phrase. My grandmother had 14 children, and she always said, you can't grow babies and flowers at the same time. You can't grow babies and flowers at the same time. And it's such a wonderful phrase because sometimes, especially when your kids are little and things are super hectic, there are some things you're going to do well. And I always say parent well, care for each other well, focus on your wellness and your health, focus on your financial security. Let go the fact that those closets are never going to be perfect. They should be good. They should have current clothes. They should be accessible. Everybody should be, you know, reasonably happy with how they're set up, but don't obsess over it. Be happy that the kids have toys in their play area that they can use, that interest them and that work for them. If your child is 6 and you've got baby toys hanging around, let go of that. But it doesn't have to be perfect, and we create this ideal of perfect. And then when we can't meet that expectation, then we feel bad about ourselves, and it becomes that never-ending cycle. So be kind to yourself. Know that you're doing the best that you can. If you need help, read the book, right? Read the book, call an organizer, ask for help. Asking for help is the strongest thing that we can do, but connect to your why. And if your why is, I want my family, my work, my life to be intentional. I want to have more space, more time, and more joy. That's what you should be focusing on, not the aesthetics of it. We sometimes really get caught up in the aesthetics and how we think things should look. So that's my soapbox moment.
No, I think that is so important. And you go on like the local real estate listings and these houses, you know, we both live in cool houses that are just pristine. They're gorgeous. And it's these fantasy lives. And I know
showing photos, sure.
Right. But that, what your grandmother said, that is those are words of wisdom that I'd wished I'd heard, you know, 30 years ago or whenever, when I was first kind of starting out with my family and everything. Because those are really, really smart. I'm going to share my screen because I'm going to try to, bear with me, because I have your website up and I want
awesome.
to be able to see. This might just take me a second to get to it. Zoom always takes over. Hang on. Oh, it's right up here. Right up here. There we go. So this is Lisa's website, yourorganizedlife.biz right here. And about us, her contact information. This is her book. I wanted to have it here with me, but it's currently checked out. More Space, More Time, More Joy. We have it at the library. It's also available paperback at Amazon and on Kindle.
Yes. Yeah, Amazon, and it's also Barnes and Noble, which I think they have a different ebook format.
That's right.
And on and on there, Kristen, I just updated this website, so I thank you for sharing that. Is I did this video. What does being organized mean to you? And so I think if people, again, we have a vision of what we think it means to be organized. We think it's a certain aesthetic, and it really ask yourself that question, like, what's motivating you to make a change? And I think the video does a really good job of sort of getting to the heart of that.
It's fabulous. Excellent. All right, I'm going to go back if I can to us. Can you see me?
I see you on the right, so.
Okay, I see you. All right. Bear with me.
Technology.
What does that say? Is that it? Uh-oh. I don't want to. No. Oh, I know. I have to stop my share. All right. Here I am.
Hey, we're back. We're back. Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else we have to cover? Okay. Is there one big mistake people make in organizing?
Again, I think I touched on it earlier. The biggest, I think it's twofold. Number one is that we're not kind to ourselves. Again, we all have strengths and weaknesses. My mother had a great phrase, and it was always, God doesn't give with both hands. God doesn't give with both hands. And I think it's so important because my clients are physicists and doctors and lawyers and entrepreneurs. They're wildly successful, and yet organizing isn't their strength. So I think we need to be kinder to ourselves and say, okay, work to my strength, hire to my weakness, and find someone who can support you, because that's what an organizer does. An organizer supports you. I'm here to serve you. I'm not here to drive the bus. You're driving the bus. But if you need someone to help you get your arms around the project, if you need someone to help you move things forward, that's where an organizer comes in. So number one, it's, be kind to yourself. Understand that oftentimes disorganization doesn't happen overnight. It tends to happen over many months and many years. So when you're ready, be ready, and start to move that forward. And the second is, sort of what I touched on earlier. The biggest mistake that I think all of us make is when we use something, put it away. Put it away. What we tend to do is we put it down, right? And it could be something as simple as the mail. I process my mail literally as I walk it in the door. I stand over my recycling bin. I get rid of the trash. I put away anything that needs to be acted upon or to just be filed away, and I'm done with it. I have seen mail upon mail upon mail. It comes in piles, and then our counters are covered in mail, and then we can't find the one thing that we need. So put it away. Don't put it down, because that's how clutter happens. Clutter is a deferred decision. It's, I don't know what to do with it, so I'm just going to put it down. And then I pick it up from here, and then I put it down over here. Yeah. Just decide what to do with it. Does it stay? Does it go? And where does it live inside your space? And that will really, that tip alone will really transform how you can move forward. Yeah, you got to deal with the other stuff, the sort of the backlog, as we call it. But if you implement that tip to start to really put things away and make decisions, it really will be impactful for you.
I've been trying to do that, but now my junk drawers are multiplying.
Yeah, here's the thing about junk drawers. We all have them, as my brother likes to say. He has multiples of them. But I think the thing is, start small. Start by cleaning out your car. Start by doing your junk drawer. Start by doing the mail or your newspapers, or small successes. Really will get you to that next step. And you look at the junk drawer and you go, oh, I'm so happy I can find a pen when I need one, right? I can find the Post-it notes. Why do I have golf tees in here? Why are there always golf tees in the junk drawer? So I think when we get rid of all of the that's that clearing out process. You know, clutter is physical, it's certainly, but it's also psychological and it's emotional. And we can just get rid of that. Then we can move forward. Then we can learn to live our best life. And that's really the key to organizing. That's what the goal of organizing is, living your best life.
It is just getting that weight off.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
important. Right. Oh, well, thank you, Lisa. This is so nice, so wonderful. I always enjoy talking to you. I learn a
Thank you.
lot. It's reassuring. Thank you so much. And again, like I said, I hope to have you at the library in person. I think you're going to get a lot of people there. There'll be a big draw. And I want to remind people, go to her website. There are a lot more tips, a lot of information. It's fun to just explore. You've got a lot of great information on it. So
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, so go to my blog. I'm also going to be part of the South Shore Women's Conference, which is coming up in October. And I'm actually going to be doing the second part of a downsizing seminar that I did the first part in the spring. And I know that's a big thing for a lot of people, especially given the housing market. So I'm going to get that posted on my website as well. So yeah, visit my website.
Fabulous. Well, thank you. And thank you everybody for watching. See you next month. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.